In the 1980s or 1980, Lee Kuan Yew made a comment that Australia could be in danger of becoming the white trash of Asia. In the last couple of hours, or the last 24 hours to 36 hours, we've watched and started the review of the recent budget, led by our Treasurer and supported by our Prime Minister.
Yeah.
Is Lee Kuan Yew half accurate?
I don't think he's half accurate, but we certainly haven't made enough out of the resources we've got. And the budget's a separate question, which is a disgrace in terms of the time in history where we are at the moment and what we need to get to do, getting industry going again, in particular startups in pharma, devices, tech, etc., but all of industry. And so there's a lot to cut through here, but let's just take startups, for example.
Yeah,
and
okay.
before I go on to it, into the budget, well, I don't really want to talk about the budget per se, but, Warren Buffett's partner, Charlie Munger, he once said, show me the incentive and I'll show you the outcome. That's what he said. And look what happened in this country. We're killing startups, which are the lifeblood of the new economy and the new big business.
Correct.
Now, you can't pick up a paper without reading about Israel. It's the startup nation. It's the best in the world, blah, blah, blah. They're fantastic. Don't get me wrong. Unbelievable. But we are better, in my opinion. And people forget that when you look at, let's say, pharma and devices, for example, before I even go into tech, we have got at least a dozen pharma device companies in Australia, most still based here, one or two in the US, which are multi-billion-dollar companies. Multi-billion-dollar companies. Yeah. And I'm talking about Cochlear, I'm talking about ResMed, I'm talking about Pro Medicus, and I'm talking about a whole lot of new stuff that's coming through, like Telex and Clarity, which are in radiopharmaceuticals and so forth.
Yes.
The Americans missed this boat. Most people in the world miss this boat. We're way ahead of the pack in that sort of stuff. But when you look at the bigger companies like ResMed and Cochlear and Pro Medicus, these companies are, depending on which day you look at them, $20-40 billion, bigger than any of their Israeli counterparts or American counterparts. Now, and my own Polynovo, as you know, which is a wound care product, where did all this come from? It came from people like CSIRO, and in the case of Polynovo, CSIRO invented a polymer. They didn't have a product though. They put it into Polynovo, well, different name at that stage, and that was developed into a product by a genius in Royal Adelaide Hospital, John Greenwood, and by me raising a lot of money. The two of us together. So
hold it. So you're taking a risk.
Taking risk.
Yeah, right. Okay, well,
taking
keep going, yeah. Someone's got to take the risk, do you not?
The company went from $10 million, messed around with this polymer for 10 years, and that's the other thing. This takes a long time. We're talking 15, 20 years before they had a product. Now it's in 700 hospitals in the US. It's in every major burns hospital, et cetera, et cetera. But when you look at all of these companies, they've all had the benefit of R&D deductions. They've had the benefit of capital gain from the founders. They've had the benefit of tax. And what does it cost us? It's cost us bugger all. Now, with these startups, of course, 90% of them fail. So what? But the ones that work are going like crazy. And it's the same in tech, with the Atlassian boys and so forth. We are punching so far above our weight. Now, how do we get to be punching above our weight? I mean, there's always going to be entrepreneurs, regardless of the tax system. But when you start whacking people, retrospectively or not, on capital gains, on tax, on R&D, you're killing the new economy. And in the meantime, the old economy, the Fords of the world and so forth, we've been usurped. We've been rolled over by the Chinese or the Koreans, or as have the Americans. So, I'm very upset about the budget in terms of what it's doing to start, kickstart the economy. Yeah. And you'll know that I'm quite entrepreneurial myself. So
absolutely.
I'm not only an investment banker, but I've invested in these things myself, and some from startup. So, I'm not happy about any of that. The other part of what Lee Kuan Yew said, but I'm not happy about, is that, we've taken these positions on things like coal, on uranium. Okay, I don't agree with them, to be honest, and especially right now when energy's now getting a very big problem, and it's going to be a bigger problem by December, which I'll come back to,
Yep.
which because it affects all my friends on the farms and the food companies and the Coles and the Woolies and so forth.
Yep.
But energy, okay, we're holier than thou, but it doesn't stop us from digging up the uranium and selling it to the Indians.
Of course not.
Or the coal,
Yeah.
And so...
And exporting gas.
What have we done to save kicking a hole in the ozone layer? Nothing. We've just given it to people who are probably less responsible than us, So if it was up to me, I'd do a couple of things on that energy side, but one is I'd get that coal out and I'd fire up your lawn again, and I'd get that uranium out and I'd go hell-bent on getting uranium. And the second thing I'd do, which all governments have been really bad at, in my opinion, is encouraging exploration for oil and for gas. We should be the wealthiest company on this planet.
Yep.
But, we're just holding up not only the oil and gas, we're holding up renewables. I recently worked on something for the biggest Indigenous fund in Australia, by the way, down in northwest of Tasmania, on the windiest part of Australia, on the cleanest air part of Australia, to put up a wind farm. Oh, my God. The bureaucracy. You can't get one of these things even approved within 2 years, let alone built, And so, we've got all this red tape standing in the way. We're not, but forget about the red tape for the moment. If you have the right encouragement, and the encouragement doesn't need to be monetary, but we're talking about the budget. So the budget's a big black hole as far as I'm concerned.
That's all it is,
and
I reckon.
It's taken us back 10 years.